Do you know who is the third largest landowner in India after the Indian Railways and the Defence? It's the Waqf Board, which controls over 8 lakh properties with an estimated value of 1.2 lakh crore rupees. The Waqf Board is a Muslim organization that controls the property that is donated for pious, religious, or charitable purposes in Muslim law. The BJP is proposing almost 40 amendments in the Waqf Act. This has led to a huge outcry, with many saying that this move is part of BJP's Hindutva agenda and they are trying to limit the Waqf Board's powers, while others say that it is a progressive step that has been pending for years. So, to talk to us on this topic, we have Supreme Court lawyer Nipun Saxena. Watch more to find out. What is the Waqf Act and the Waqf Board all about?
A Waqf is something which is a dedication. It's a dedication which is part of a pious obligation of every person who is professing the Islamic faith, right? Because in terms of the tenets of Islam, there are certain responsibilities which a person has to discharge during his or her life. Right? One of those responsibilities is dedicating anything that they hold dear for the purposes of a religious, pious, or charitable purpose, right? So the practice of waqf has been going on since the 7th century itself, right? Where a certain dedication was made towards, let's say, establishing of a school or a hospital or somebody's lodging facilities for destitutes, indigents, right? So that dedication is what you call waqf. The subject matter of dedication, which could be a movable or an immovable property, is called uh, a waqf, right? Now, the person who dedicates for any religious, charitable, or pious purpose is called a waqif. Right? Now, once a waqf property is dedicated, somebody is made in charge of the management of that property for the purpose of maintenance and upkeep of that property. Usually, so when we talk about more about immovable property rather than movable property, but there's no embargo as such. So anyhow, the manager of that property is called a mutawalli, right? Who is responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of the waqf property. So that in brief is what you call the practice of waqf. Right? Now in India, this practice of waqf took over from the very first time in the year 1913, 1913, right? When the first act in that sense of the term came into picture. Right? Now that was called the Musalman Waqf Validating Act of 1930. Now it, of course, in very specific term defined a waqf to mean the permanent dedication of a person professing the Muslim faith of any property for any purpose recognized by Muslim law as religious, pious, or charitable. Right? So there are three very important attributes to it. It has to be done by a Muslim under the 1913, right? Second, that dedication is in the nature of permanent dedication, which is to say that once you have dedicated the property towards waqf, then the person who is dedicating the property or the waqif then no longer has any right, title, or interest over the said property because he has set that property or dedicated that property to waqf. And the third is that the purpose must be recognized as religious, charitable, or pious. According to what? According to the Muslim personal law. Right? So unless and until these three things are there, the dedication will not be called a waqf dedication. Right? Now thereafter, you had the Waqf Act of 1954, which for the first time after the independence of India was a comprehensive law which was laid down to manage the waqf properties. Right? As you know that the waqf today is the third largest owner or let's say possession holder of properties in India. Waqf Act of 1954 created a Waqf Board. Right now, that Waqf Board was very important because a Waqf Board is a statutory authority which was laid down. Right now, this statutory authority had a number of functions. First, it would be to find out and ascertain by carrying out a detailed survey mechanism. A report was supposed to be filed. Thereafter, a particular property was decided whether it's a Waqf property or not. And of course, by the way, the present Act, which of course before the amendment, was the one which came into being in the year 1995. Right now, there was also a series of amendments which were introduced. Some of those amendments came into picture in 2013, but we'll not detain ourselves with that. There are two fundamental things when you are talking about Waqf Board. One is the appointment of that board itself, right? So now that board was incorporated, as you already know, under Section 13. The composition was to include persons who, it's a complete board in that sense, because it has a chairperson. There were two members who were appointed by the state government, Muslim members of parliament from the state, or state legislature, Muslim members from Bar Council of concerned states, mutawallis of the Waqf who have a net income of about, let's say, rupees 1 lakh and above, right? So the entire board is constituted by a predominantly predominantly hailing from the Muslim community, because naturally it regulates the affairs of the Muslim community. Therefore, the legislature recognized that number of members must be there. Interestingly, although there is no embargo in having a woman member, I am yet to come across a situation where Waqf Board includes women members. If it because a Waqf Board is established in every state. Now, if some states do have it, then that's a wonderful progressive step, right? Now, of course, under Section 32 of the Waqf Act, there are certain powers and functions of the board which are laid down. Now, couple of those powers include, relating to maintaining records of the Waqf. What exactly are they doing? Ascertaining whether a particular property is a Waqf property or not, right? Thereafter, conducting a survey, asking for objections, if any, and thereby issuing a notification, right, under Section 5 to finally say that X is a Waqf property or not. And that, of course, we'll discuss in greater detail, but that generally is the overview of the Act, so to say.
With that, we come to the end of all the questions. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Thank you for enlightening us on various aspects of Waqf. Thank you for being a part of this session.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Alan. Thank you so much. Thank you for